we saw just this huge fish come over, into the net and over the boat rail, and I knew I had something special. So we called who we needed to call, and we brought the fish in to be verified, mostly because we were really curious how much it weighed. And when the scale hit 39.10, I knew I was in first place. Within probably 10 minutes or so, our club president called me on the phone and told me that was in fact the record. I cried.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Angie Scott and Barb Carey.
Hey everyone, another Tuesday means another fresh episode of the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast. I've been in San Diego, more on that to come in future episodes, but we're still committed to bringing you new content to enjoy each and every week. With that said, I want to get us right into this week's episode. I get so pumped talking about chasing muskies, let alone trophy-sized ones. I had the chance to talk with a young woman who fishes one of the premier muskie fisheries in the country, Lake St. Clair. She's also very active in the Michigan-Ontario Muskie Club and a record holder to, get this, 39.10-pound, 52.5-inch muskie in that club for 2018. She has her sights set on being an elite member of the 40-pound club. So sit back and enjoy hearing about Corey's adventures up in Michigan on this episode. When you're done, head on over to thewomanangler.com/59 to check out some photos, including Corey with her trophy-sized replica of that monster fish. Corinne, welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast. We're excited to have you on today.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into fishing.
So I've been with my wonderful boyfriend for about 3 years now, and he has been a lifelong muskie fisherman, multi-generation dad, his grandpa. So he's been doing it for life. And one of our very first dates, he actually took me out on Lake St. Clair, and the very first muskie I'd ever caught, the first time I had ever been out on a big lake fishing, I immediately caught a 50-inch muskie, which is a trophy fish. People fish their whole life for that, and that was my first fish that I ever caught. And after that, it was just, I could not stay away from the water. Every time he was going after that, I was with him, and we started fishing more and more competitively with the Michigan-Ontario Muskie Club tournaments, and I just couldn't stay away. I loved it.
Wow, that is quite a story. I don't know of many people who could say that they had an experience like that, especially with muskie fishing, which, you hear people say it's the fish of 10,000 casts. So that's super crazy that was your first experience.
It was. It really was. And I had no idea what I had done. We were trolling at the time, and I just was like, oh, that's a big fish. Didn't understand how big it really was, and yeah, it was amazing.
Wow. What were you using when you were trolling for that?
I caught that fish on a small little Hulk Hogan bucktail, which is like a bright yellow bucktail, which is a muskie lure we commonly use when we troll. And I can't, this was a couple of years ago, I can't remember what we had it set at the time as far as depth, but it was early September, and we were out late afternoon, early evening, and we had that kind of tried and true color going, and yeah, that's what it caught.
Wow. Did you have much experience prior to that fishing at all, growing up or anything like that?
up in a very rural part of Michigan, out in Lenawee County. I'm from Tecumseh originally, which is just pretty small farm town, farm girl. My grandpa had a big farm out there, so I grew up pond fishing, like with old school cane poles for bass and bluegill, and we loved going out there, but never to that caliber prior to catching my first muskie.
What was your first thought when he asked you to go out fishing with him that first time?
I was excited. I was like, okay. I'm like, I really wasn't expecting to catch anything. I was just kind of excited. It was early September. The weather was still really nice, and it was a beautiful day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go hang out on a boat. And, I was really excited to catch a fish, but I never really knew what it was going to be. He tried to explain it to me, but I definitely wasn't expecting to catch that fish. And then, I posted some pictures of it. All of a sudden I had all these people like, oh my gosh, do you know how big that is? Do you realize? So it was really fun.
That's cool. Well, talk about the Lake St. Clair fishery, because I've heard of this lake before, but I've never been there. And, we have listeners to this show from all over the country. So for people who aren't familiar with that, where is it located and what's the lake like?
So Lake St. Clair is a large body of water that is actually located between Michigan and Canada, Ontario, Canada. And it has probably one of the premier muskie fisheries in the world, if not the premier muskie fishery in the world. Most of the muskie fishing I do personally is on the Ontario side of the lake, but there are muskies in the entire lake. I have to give a shout out to my friend Jason Quintano. Just this summer caught an absolute giant, I believe it was 57.25 inches and estimated like 42 pounds. Just huge, wonderful fish. And Lake St. Clair is so unique. I personally do more trolling than I do casting. He caught his fish casting, and I have dabbled in casting a little bit, but I'm not quite as good at it as I am with the trolling. But as opposed to other places I know in Canada and the U.S. where it's more the small inland trolling board setup, or you're casting these smaller lakes. I mean, this is like a Great Lake, if you can imagine. It's just huge, but it's also very shallow. I believe the deepest part of the lake is only like 22 or 23 feet. So we're in fairly shallow water, usually trolling with planer boards. And, unlike some of the other places as well, a lot of these guys have really big boats. So we're talking like 31, 36 foot Tierras, or our boat is a 26-foot Sea Ray. So it's just a very unique fishery. The things that we do on that lake, I know, are techniques that don't necessarily work if you take them anywhere else. It's a hard lake to fish and a hard lake to learn, but it's also absolutely amazing. I mean, unlike anywhere else, we have days, and I have personally experienced days, especially in the fall, where we've caught 20 muskies in a day.
Wow.
In like a 10-hour day.
It's one of my bucket list fish, so I'm kind of like starting to drool a little bit here. I'm like, maybe I need to take a trip up there.
Oh, yeah. And I know people that have done even better. I know one day, this past October, we were very fortunate to have a day like that. I think we lost count, honestly. I think we boated close to 20 muskies trolling around in like 8, 9, 10 feet of water, if not even shallower, this fall. And I mean, we were pulling in fish that were 49 inches by 32 pounds, and just beautiful, healthy fish. It's a really unique fishery.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Talk a little bit about the boat. I'd seen it's called Real Therapy, and you fish with Team Real Therapy. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So that is the boat that my boyfriend and his dad own. That is our team name, Real Therapy, REEL, because we're, cute playing words. So that is our team, and we have a 26-foot Sea Ray Amberjack, and it is just an awesome trolling boat for Lake St. Clair. It has large open back. It has a great swim platform for netting fish. It has a nice little cabin in it, so we actually try to live on it as much as we can in the summer. And one thing that's really, really unique about the boats that fish Lake St. Clair, and a lot about the lake in general, is that whereas other places you'll see muskie go by the banks, they're 52, 55, whatever, and while we do emphasize the length, we focus primarily up here on weight. So a lot of our tournaments up here are weight-based. So a lot of these boats, ours included, have special live wells in them made for muskie that go up to like 60 inches and pump fresh water into it with the bubbler. Because when we catch a big 30, 35-pound muskie, we will a lot of times all muskies will go in the tank, but a muskie over 30 pounds especially, we, for our tournaments, will run to get verified, because that's what we go by as weight more than length up here.
Gotcha. How do the fish typically do then when you release them? Do they do you have any idea like what the mortality rate is?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk. Some people do worry about that delayed mortality, but in personal experience and from everything that I have seen, a lot of care is put into handling these fish, and a lot of times we're actually able to revive these really big old muskies, because they get so much, go under so much strain just from being caught. Giving them time to rest in the tank, we'll put them in there, stabilize them, get this fresh water flowing through them. A lot of times they're actually, more time we go to release them than they were when we first got them into the boat. Every fish that I've ever seen personally run in to be weighed, or that has been able to be revived in that tank for a while when released, has swam off healthy and, swam away. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a really good thing for them to kind of get them settled down a little bit before releasing them again.
So you mentioned briefly earlier the Michigan-Ontario Muskie Club that you're a member of. Can you talk a little bit about that club? It sounds like I think I read it's been around for over 60 years, I think.
Yes. The Michigan-Ontario Muskie Club is a muskie fishing club based on Lake St. Clair. Meetings in St. Clair Shores, Michigan is our home base. It is a group of, at this point in time, I believe we have over 300 members, around 305 members. Wow. Of fishermen from both Michigan and Ontario, Canada. The club was founded back in 1956, and the evolution of the club, it's gone from, just grown exponentially over the years, and our focus is not only muskie fishing, but protecting the lake, doing what's best for the fish and the fishery, conservation, and then we also have our fun as well with our monthly tournaments. At this point in time, I happen to be the only female on the board of the directors for the club. I am the secretary for the club. I am a member of the executive board.
Cool.
So I have a lot of say and input kind of into what the club does, direction we go, how we promote things, kind of where our fundraising efforts go, and that's just such a cool experience. I was elected into that position, so
Cool.
I feel really honored to be the only female on the board.
Yeah. Do you have any idea how many females are in the club as a whole?
I don't know in a whole. There's only 3 to 4 other females that I personally know that actually muskie fish regularly. It is not a very heavily female dominated area at all, and I always love when girls want to go muskie fishing because I personally love it, and there's no reason that more women can't do it. It's, in my opinion, way more fun than anything else we have around here to catch. But
well, you just recently had a pretty big honor with that club. Can you talk a little bit about that? I think you caught a really nice fish, and yeah, just go ahead and tell that story and talk a little bit about that if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So I actually hold a record for the Michigan-Ontario Muskie Club, and an unconfirmed Lake St. Clair record of the largest muskie ever caught by a female. Back Labor Day weekend, I was out with our Team Real Therapy. We were trolling out on the Canadian side of the lake. We were over by the Ruscombe River in Ontario, and I caught a giant, beautiful 52.5-inch by 39.10 pound muskie. Very healthy fish. We didn't even know how big it was when we saw it netted, but we saw just this huge fish come over, into the net and over the boat rail, and I knew I had something special. So we called who we needed to call, and we brought the fish in to be verified, mostly because we were really curious how much it weighed. And when the scale hit 39.10, I knew I was in first place as far as biggest muskie of the year, but I didn't realize it was the record yet. And within probably 10 minutes or so, our club president called me on the phone and told me that was in fact the record. And wow. I cried. I was in so much from catching this fish, and it wasn't, we weren't doing anything special. We actually were just out fun fishing with a good friend of ours, and my dad was on the boat. We were, like I said, we were trolling, and actually at the time my boyfriend Kurt was trying out a little high fin bucktail lure that he made that was black and orange, and he's like, I'm going to put this out. That happened to be the rod that went off that caught the muskie. I caught the record-breaking muskie on a bait that he custom made and was just kind of playing around with that day. And yeah, it was very special.
Awesome. That's cool. I saw, I was, doing some research for this interview, and I saw some pictures that they made you a really nice replica of that fish. So that was really cool. Maybe we can share that photo on the website for this episode so people could go check that out. But yeah, congratulations on that honor. Yeah.
Thank you. They part of our that was for our club, the Michigan-Ontario Muskie Club. Every year they recognize whoever catches the largest, heaviest fish. They always get a replica mount made. So that is a Fatante mount that I have now of my fish. It is proudly displayed in my living room.
Cool. Well, so after an accomplishment like that, what's next? Do you have any kind of specific goals that you've set, or anything you want to try and accomplish, or just getting out there and doing some more fishing?
From there, I was like, where do I go from here, kind of, but yeah. We have a mark on that lake. 50 inches, definitely the trophy fish, but since we're more of a weight-based club and the lake is more weight-based than anything, 40 pounds is really like the true like epic mark, and I believe only 5 or 6 people have actually been able to achieve that officially weighed in. And so I've set my sights on that. I would like to be the first female ever to hit that 40 pound mark.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Do you do much ice fishing as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I live in Michigan. It's cold and icy here. I feel like more than anything
Right.
all year. But over the last few years, I've really gotten into ice fishing as well. We have so many great bodies of water around this state, and one of my very favorite things to do is actually perch fish through the ice in winter. And Lake St. Clair also has a phenomenal perch fishery as well.
Cool. Do you have a preference? Like, do you prefer hard or soft water? Or...
I like the ice fishing in the winter as far as something to do, but my passion is the muskie fishing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything else.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like you have a real passion and respect for the fish. You know, even though you kind of came onto it and had a huge success early, it sounds like you were still able to develop a really good respect for the musky fish, and I love that you enjoy it so much, and then that you're passionate about inspiring other women in your area to get out and get into it as well. Do you are you on like social media or YouTube or anything like that? Like, how can people follow your journey?
I'm on YouTube and Instagram, actually. Just started a YouTube channel a few months ago and have had quite a bit of success with it. I've been very blown away, actually, by people's comments and support of it. It's actually, you can find us on YouTube, Rustic Duo, and that is my channel, my boyfriend and I. It's all of our fishing and hunting, outdoor adventures, and then we're also on Instagram as well, Real Therapy Sport Fishing.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we'll put links to those in the show notes as well.
Most of my fishing is for the club and the conservation and outreach that we do there. I am involved currently with Muskie's Canada Bell River chapter. I'm working with them. They do a really amazing muskie tagging study every fall where the Canadian Ministry of Natural Resources comes out with their club and out of Bell River tags muskies that are caught. And the whole purpose of that is to track kind of their spawning patterns and how big they grow, because we still don't know a whole lot about this fishery.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm currently really involved with them trying to raise money because these tags are really, really expensive, but it's a really important part of keeping this fishery, the trophy fishery that is. And so I'm doing a lot of work with that currently. Awesome. And then I'm also doing some work for probably one of our biggest and greatest events, in my opinion, the annual Muskie Meet, which is an event where our club members actually take out active and retired military members muskie fishing for a day. It's like a tournament style fishery. There's like a winner every hour for largest fish. And then all of the money that we make from that tournament, we donate directly to last year we worked with Suffrage, I believe that's Air Force Base, and donated all the money to the Family Relief Fund to actually help veterans in need. So this year I'm kind of taking that on as my event host and doing a lot of planning as far as that goes. But I'm very proud of that event.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. When does that take place?
That usually takes place about the end of August. I don't think we have an official date for that yet, but we usually do that a little bit before Labor Day at the end of August, when fishing is like really good and the weather's usually really good.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm That's great that you're involved in that. Do you have any kind of parting advice for women out there that maybe they fish but they're a little bit intimidated by the idea of muskie fishing?
just try it. Go, I was intimidated by it because it was something I'd never done before, and then, it's such a male dominated thing especially, and I have just met so many amazing people through it, and I really, in my experience, have not had anyone be very intimidating at all. Everyone is just very friendly and will help you learn. If you're interested in any type of fishing, even if you don't, have a boat or, know anything about it, look around for a local fishing club. I know there's muskie clubs all over the world, all over Canada, United States. There's a couple local walleye groups around my area. If you have a fish in mind that you want to start learning how to target, look for those groups, go to some of their meetings, join some groups on, social media. These guys are just so knowledgeable, and they will help you learn. You'll probably make some friends that maybe will even take you out fishing so you can learn. And that was probably the biggest thing that has helped me, in addition to being lucky enough that my boyfriend and his father have fished this lake for years and years, but meeting all these other people. And I've been very fortunate to even meet a lot of charter captains that do this professionally that have given me advice and taken me out fishing before. And every time I go, I learn something new.
Yeah, well, I think that's excellent advice. I actually just joined a club here. Actually, I haven't officially joined yet, but I'm going to very soon. I went to their first meeting, but the lake that I'm on, we don't have muskie, unfortunately. My favorite fish is walleye, and unfortunately, they don't stock this. It's a reservoir. They don't stock it with walleye, but they do have striper, and to me, that's probably the next best thing because they get big and they fight hard, and so that's kind of my next species. Like, I really want to learn and be able to go out and troll for striper. I think would be so much fun. So I just joined.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just joined the Percy Priest Lake, which is the lake I'm on, their striper and hybrid club. So I'm really excited. Seems like a lot of the guys are very helpful, even just going to that first meeting. So I would definitely echo that advice, to find a club in the area and go out. And also, like you mentioned, take out guides because, they're going to teach you certain things. They might not give away all their secrets, but you will definitely learn a lot as far as technique goes. And,
Exactly. You'll learn a lot just by observing, or, a lot of my friends that are professional guides give seminars all the time at local Cabela's or local fishing shows. They might give talks to, if you ever have a chance to sit in on one of those, absolutely do it, because they're going to walk you through step by step how to use a certain piece of equipment or how to fish a certain way or depth of water, and all of that is just invaluable when you're learning.
Yes, I agree. Well, thank you so much once again for taking the time to be on the show, and I wish you the best of luck in all your future muskie fishing endeavors.
And thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening to my chat with Corinne Skinner. Please share this episode with your friends and stay tuned for next week's show. We value you taking the time to listen and share these episodes. So thank you and take care.